Today, I'm going to be making the second chapter to my mascot horror game called Teddy's Factory. And this time, I'm going to be adding a new mascot, new areas, new mechanics, and most importantly, a build up to the secret ending that describes the lore. So let's get into it. Last time, I made a mascot horror game in 24 hours where it took place in an abandoned candy factory. And keeping that theme, I'm giving myself 24 hours to make this chapter as well. The original game was about trying to escape the candy factory while a giant teddy bear named Teddy chased you down. In the ending of chapter 1, it ended off with the player escaping, or so you thought, because there's actually no way we could actually let the player escape that easily. So I thought to myself, where else should the second chapter take place? Maybe to the second floor of the candy factory? Maybe outside the candy factory in a forest? But I landed on the basement, because let's be honest, what screams more horror than an abandoned factory's basement? So this would be perfect. Even though the setting takes place in the basement, which makes it a tad bit scarier, what's even more frightening is the second monster that I'm going to add. But that'll have to wait for later in the video. First, I'll have to make some other elements. So to have a good segue into the second chapter, I'll create a hallway that leads to an elevator at the end of it, and have the elevator take you down into the basement. Let's decorate it a bit. Now I'll put a telephone here. This telephone is going to play back an important piece of the lore before you move on. Here's a little sneak peek.
Why won't they listen? I just wanted to create joy.
And that's all you get to hear. You'll have to play the game for yourself to hear the rest of it. Anyway, let's move on to the elevator. I looked for a good model and this one seems to look cool, so I'll use that for the elevator. Now that that's done, I can move on to actually creating the second level, the basement, and also creating all of its gameplay elements. Okay, so here's the idea for the gameplay. The player will need to find and activate 3 backup generators to power up the candy machine, starting the factory. Now, each generator will require its own key card, and these key cards will be hidden around the basement. There's more tasks that the player will need to perform to escape, but before I tell you what's next and details about how more of the lore will be revealed, let's start to create the level. When you exit the elevator, you're greeted with this ominous looking hallway and then a dark open area, which has a short passage and then a staircase going down. I think this is a good option because with this overview from above, at the beginning it acts as a sort of scary introduction to the area you'll be haunted in. This huge area is going to be where everything takes place, but right now it looks kinda empty. So I'm going to decorate it with props and clutter it a bunch so that finding all of the required items becomes a challenge, and that running away from the monsters while navigating your way around the maze-like layout is a bit more fun. I think it's been enough time beating around the bush, so let me present to you the new mascot. Introducing Larry. He was the result of an experiment by Mr. Sweet, the owner of the candy factory. The lore behind teddy bears turning into monsters and what Mr. Sweet was doing gets explained more in this chapter, but I'll get to that soon. As I'm working on the second chapter of Teddy's Factory and thinking about the future of the game, I should mention that I'm currently going through a class called Develop Strong Video Game Ideas on Skillshare, who is also the sponsor of this video. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, offering thousands of classes across various fields, including game development. They have a fantastic selection that is perfect for both beginners and seasoned developers. Whether you're looking to master the basics with courses like Unity development, the basics of the Unity game engine, or dive into more topics like visual effects for games in Unity, Skillshare has you covered. As previously mentioned, I'm currently exploring the Develop Strong Video Game Ideas class, which dives deep into techniques like brainstorming game ideas, aligning narrative with gameplay, and balancing difficulty with player ability. I personally think that these lessons are great to have under my belt as I continue to make games, and I love how Skillshare has these unique classes for game developers to learn from. So if you've been interested in game development or literally any other field, now is the perfect time to level up your skills. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare Premium. So don't miss your chance to learn and improve your skills. Join Skillshare today. But first, let me actually create the main menu. For this, I'm going to create an empty room and then decorate it. I'll put the door here, apply the materials to the walls, floor, ceiling, and add a ceiling light. I'll expand it a bit to get more composition and then put the camera right here in the middle. Now, I just have to add some posters to this wall here. And that's about it for the decor. For the main menu's title, I'll add a text right here. Give it an epic font and put it at the top left of the screen. Then I'll make the red chapter 2 label. Now we need a play and quit button. Make them a bit cooler, and that's that. It looks like this now. In the basement, for some extra challenge, both Larry and Teddy will be chasing you down while you try to complete the objectives. So I worked on the ability of Larry to chase. Well, that's an interesting chase. I almost forgot. We've gotta have a new poster for him too. So let's make a couple of those. And now let's place the posters around the map. Here will be the first key card with a glowing light so it's more noticeable. Each key card will provide access to power up a backup generator. And here will be the second key card. I won't tell you where I place the third one as I'm not intending to make things too easy for you guys here. So go find it yourself. I also went through and populated the basement with various items where some are just for decoration and some will be used, which I'll get to explaining. Now I've got these interactable machines, but there's no way for the player to know how to interact with them yet. So interaction prompts are a necessity. So that's what I'll make now. I just have to add a text and set it to display the E button. And then I coded it so that they only appear when necessary and face your way. Easy. Here are 3 generators that will have to be activated with the key cards. I'll leave them in the middle because what's meant to be searched for and collected are the key cards, not the generator themselves. But what are the generators for, you might ask? Well, let me continue my gameplay explanation from earlier. Once the 3 generators are all powered, they'll activate the candy machine. For this machine, you'll have to gather 5 different types of candy that are scattered across to combine them together to make the magic candy. Basically, the exit door in the basement is sealed shut. The magic candy in the factory contains the strength to break it down, and it will have enough force for you to throw it at the exit door and have the exit door break apart. That's how you'll escape the basement. But that won't be the end yet. Before I tell you what's next, make sure to subscribe and comment on what I should add to the next chapter of Teddy's factory. The exit door will have another hallway behind it, and in this tunnel there will be 2 doors to go through, one red and one blue. In the room behind the red door there will be 2 audio players, and there will be 2 collectible CDs to insert into them that are scattered. You'll have to find the collectible CDs around the map. The audio records from the collectible CDs will contain more story elements. Doing these things isn't necessary to complete the game, but they do help you understand the lore a bit more. Here's a sneak peek.
This is Mr. Sweet.
And finally, in the middle of the hallway, there will be a TV. It'll show you an important video regarding the lore, but first, you have to collect the cord for it. It's kind of the same as the audio players in that regard. Here, this time I'll show you what I cooked up. Psych, you thought I was going to reveal the whole thing? Subscribe for chapter 3 and here's a little bit of gameplay.